Hello, my name is Angela Robley, Chief Financial Officer of the Green Bay Area Public School District. Welcome to the ESSER 3 Stakeholder Consultation and Input Session. Today, I will be reviewing what ESSER is, what the funds can be used for. I will provide some insight as to what the district's plan is to expend some of these funds, and finally, I will give you information on how to submit your input. We are receiving funding from the federal government to help us support those impacted by the pandemic and to prevent the spread of COVID-19. This program is similar but not identical to ESSER 1 and ESSER 2, which were authorized under the previous two COVID-19 relief packages back in 2020. We are reaching out to you to share information about these one-time funds, to identify the needs of local students and families, and to gather input to meet the needs of these students and their families. During this session, we will share information about the grants and invite you to tell us about the needs of local students and families who are disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. We are asking you to help identify community assets and potential partners and share your ideas and priorities for using these funds. The district is expected to receive approximately $44.6 million in funding. These funds are intended to address the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the students and must be spent by September 30th of 2024. Due to zero increases in school revenues from the state for the 21-23 state biennium budget, per the legislature's recommendation, ESSER funds will be used in part to offset increased costs to operate the district. School districts must use a minimum of 20% to implement evidence-based interventions to address learning loss. Some examples of this are extended learning programs in the summer or after school. School districts must ensure that interventions respond to students' social, emotional, and academic needs and address the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on underrepresented student subgroups. The U.S. Department of Education identifies the following groups of students as likely to have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19 to a greater extent than their peers. These include each major racial and ethnic group, children from low-income families, children with disabilities, English learners, migrant students, students experiencing homelessness, and children and youth in foster care. What can these funds be used for other than the evidence-based interventions? ESSER funds must be used to prevent, prepare for, or respond to COVID-19. Some examples would include PPE, or personal protective equipment, addressing disrupted learning, such as virtual learning for kids in quarantine, outreach and services for special populations, such as English learners and students with an IEP, and school-based mental health staff and technology devices and software for remote instruction. The preceding list are examples and aren't intended to be all-inclusive. As I mentioned before in a previous slide, we are required to use a minimum of 20% of the funding to address learning loss, which is approximately $9 million. We propose to address learning loss by focusing some of these dollars on the following: math and reading support and resources for the students that have fallen the furthest behind. This would include things like math and reading interventionists, software, and purchased materials. We will also focus these dollars on summer school and after-school programming, along with social workers and school counselors. Student learning advocates are also part of this plan, and they assist with behavior management and are responsible for connecting students and families with school resources. Student learning advocates help to engage at-risk students by connecting them with academic and co-curricular programs and ensure that behavioral standards are maintained. We propose to use approximately 80% of the ESSER 3 dollars to address other needs, such as healthy learning environments, mental health supports for students, technology, and we will also be using some of these funds to balance our budget as recommended by the Wisconsin legislature. These funds will be used in place of per pupil increases and revenue limit increases that were not included in the 21-23 biennium budget. This is your opportunity to provide your input on our ESSER 3 plan by answering the following questions within the feedback form. What other needs or COVID-19 impacts have you seen that we have not mentioned? Are the priorities we have identified the ones that will have the most impact on the students with the greatest needs? If not, what would? What community assets might we engage to make our plan more effective? How can families be involved? And what other ideas do you have about using this funding? So where do we go from here? Please fill out the ESSER 3 form by February 25th by 4:00 p.m. Our initial application and budget for ESSER 3 will be submitted to DPI on March 11th, 2022. If you are interested, you can view the district safe return plan, which is posted on the district website. This slide is just showing you the information that you need to be able to fill out the feedback form, and then the due date of February 25th at 4:00 p.m. For more information on ESSER 3 funding, you can visit the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction's website. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation on ESSER 3 funding, and we look forward to hearing from you.